Hola y buenos días. Hoy vamos a aprender unas palabras del vocabulario del capítulo 5. Today we're going to learn some vocab words from chapter 5. Specifically, we're starting on chapter 5A. Okay? And so we'll go ahead and get started with our vocab today. Make sure you've got your unit guide with all the vocab words on it, and that you are ready to take some notes. And I will ask you to fill in words, of course, as usual, but I'll also give you some special instructions along the way. So make sure you're listening carefully and filling in as we go. Okay, vámonos. Okay, here we have 3 terms. You'll find them in the upper left corner of the vocab list. We'll go from there down, and then we'll go through the middle column, and then we'll go over the left-hand column. So we'll start with el abuelo. This is the grandpa. La abuela is the grandma. Y los abuelos, right? If you were talking about your mom's dad and your dad's dad, those would be los abuelos, the grandpas. But it also means the grandparents. Pardon my handwriting today. I'm just a little sloppier than usual. So el abuelo is the grandpa. La abuela is the grandma. And los abuelos is the grandparents. Okay, here we have el esposo. That means the husband. And then we have la esposa. That means the wife. Okay, here we have el hermano, the brother. And then we have la hermana, the sister. Okay, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to look for the word hermana and write in the number of sisters that you have. Could be 0, could be 1, could be more, right? So I have 1 sister. Tengo una hermana. All right, and then find the brother, and I want you to write the number of brothers you have. Oops, I don't know why I wrote 2. I have 1 brother as well. Yo tengo un hermano. I have 1 brother. Okay, and then los hermanos can mean the brothers, or it can mean the siblings. That does not look like an S, does it? S-I-B-L-I-N-G-S, the siblings. All right, like hermano and hermana, we have a couple words for step siblings. So el hermanastro is the step brother, and la hermanastra is the step sister. So it's kind of like hermano and hermana, but with this astro, astra ending. So hermanastro is stepbrother, la hermanastra is the stepsister. All right, here we have el hijo. That's this guy right here, the son. La hija, that's the daughter. All right, and los hijos would be the children, but in the sense of like my kids. Oops. Right, if I'm talking about my kids or someone else's kids, not just like children in general, but a person's children. Does that make sense? I hope. Right, so if we were talking about just kids in general, right, I'm at an elementary school and there are lots of kids, right? Those are niños, niñas. If we're talking about like one's children, right, a person's progeny, a person's descendants, we're talking about their hijos. All right, sometimes there's only 1 kid, like in this family, all right? This looks like it's la hija única, which means the only child who's a girl, or the only daughter, maybe you might say. Okay, and then you can kind of infer that this would be the only son. Okay, so those mean the same basic thing, but one's talking about a daughter and one's talking about a son. All right, this is el padre. El padre is slightly more formal than el papá. Notice the accent mark on papá. El papá, there's that emphasis on the second A. If you say el papa, that you're talking about potato. No, sorry, el papa is the pope, and la papa is a potato. So el papa is the dad. Right. Padre is a little more formal. Maybe this you'd say father, and then papa is the dad. Okay, here we have la madre. This would be mother. And then la mamá is the mom. Los padres would mean the parents, right? And los papás would be just a little bit less formal, more informal. All right, we talked about hermanastro and hermanastra before. Well, we also have padrastro, that means stepfather, and la madrastra, which means the stepmother. La madrastra and el padrastro. All right, you can probably figure this one out with the chart here, but el primo and la prima refer to cousins, right? So you've got grandparents, aunts and uncles, and then their kids are your cousins. So this would be the male cousin. This would be the female cousin. And los primos are the cousins. Right, the cousins. All right, here we got two famous ones. El tío, la tía, and los tíos mean the uncle, the aunt, and then the aunts and uncles. The aunts and uncles. But it could also mean like these two individuals would be los tíos, right? The aunt and the uncle. But it could also mean like all of your parents' siblings, right? So this is the aunt and uncles. All right. Okay, here we have la persona. This means the person. All right, I bet you can figure this one out. This is a cat. El gato is the cat. Here we have el perro, right? That's the dog. But if we're talking about both of these, we would say, of course, los perros. You don't have to write that down anywhere, just reminding you that that's how you pluralize things. ¿Cuántos años tiene? Right? If we just use this part that I'm going to underline in blue, and then you could put a name in here. That looks like MAME. Great at writing this morning. Name. ¿Cuántos años tiene Manuel? ¿Cuántos años tiene Isabela? Okay, so you could have those questions. That means how old is a person? But if you, of course, include the N, that part that I'm underlining in red, and you say this whole phrase in red, and then you, of course, could just put names, plural, or titles, right? ¿Cuántos años tienen sus primos? Right? We could talk about your cousins, all right? ¿Cuántos años tienen sus vecinos? How old are your neighbors, all right? So that's just asking about multiple people. So ¿cuántos años tiene is asking about an individual person, and ¿cuántos años tienen is asking about multiple people. So it means how old is. And this is how you answer that question. So depending on who you're talking about, singular tiene, plural tienen, and then you put a number in the blank. That would then mean so-and-so, whoever we were talking about, right? So that would be kind of like right here. We would say so-and-so is, and then the number of years old, right? Right? We often in English would shorten it to just this phrase here, right? He is 11, but we also could say he is 11 years old, right? So tiene blank años means blank is blank years old. Mayor and mayores is the plural, means older, right? So I could say, tengo una hermana mayor. I have an older sister. If it were, this isn't true for me, but if it were true that I had two older sisters, I could say, tengo dos hermanas mayores. All right, and menor and menores means younger. All right, so if I were talking about my family, tengo un hermano menor. I have a younger brother. If I had two, tengo dos hermanos menores. All right, this is familiar to us, right? Like in the same way we can say me gusta, we can talk about what somebody else likes by saying le gusta, le gustan, right? So that means he or she likes, We can also, of course, say a él o a ella le encanta or le encantan, and to mean he or she loves. Okay, so this one's a little bit tricky. Que, no accent mark, notice that, can mean that or who, right? For example, tengo un hermano menor que vive en Portland. I have a younger brother who lives in Portland. All right. Solo means only. So I could say solo tengo dos hermanos. I only have two siblings. So solo means only. Abrir means to open. All right, we're moving on to that next section down on the left-hand side here, to open. Celebrar, I bet you could guess this one. It means to celebrate. I bet you could guess this one too. Decorar means to decorate. Right? If we're talking about birthday parties, we can use the verb decorar. The thing that you use when you decorar, when you decorate, are las decoraciones, the decorations. Depending on your family, maybe at your birthday parties, they like to record a video. And so to talk about recording a video, you can say hacer un video. This is to record a video. That thing that they produce at the end of that is el video. This means the video. Okay. Notice that it's masculine. That is not true of all of the things that seem like they should be masculine in this. So note, el video is the video. Preparar is like to make or to prepare. Specifically, in this case, we're talking about preparing food at a meal, right? So if you're talking about the food that you're making for a birthday party, you'd use the verb preparar. Voy a preparar la cena. I'm going to make dinner. Romper, it means to break. Okay, and we'll be talking about una piñata in a moment here. And so when you take the bat and you swing it at the piñata, the verb we would use here is romper. Cuando rompe la piñata. All right, here's a similar one. Before we learned about hacer un video, but when we're talking about photos, we use the verb sacar, which means to take. So this is to take photos. Notice also the spelling difference here. In English, we spell it with a PH. In Spanish, it's with an F. Okay, here's one of those ones where it's a little bit unexpected. Foto looks like it'd be masculine because it ends in O, but it's actually feminine, okay? And that's because it's short for la fotografía, which ends with an A, but it's shortened, but it keeps that gender. So la foto is the photo, okay? But just remember that it's feminine. Please remember that. Okay, here you can see we have a photo of a camera, and the way that we say camera is la cámara. This is the camera. Ooh, let me spell that right. C-A-M-E-R-A. Notice the spelling difference in Spanish. One, there's an accent mark over that first A, and notice that what's an E in English is an A in Spanish there. So note those spelling differences. El cumpleaños means the birthday. So I could say, mi cumpleaños es en noviembre. My birthday is in November. This is how you say, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Feliz cumpleaños. Los dulces means the sweets. Or it can also just mean candy in Spanish. La flor means the flower. Okay, note the spelling. This isn't like the stuff you use to bake with. It's the one with a W. And then the plural, I just want you to notice, is las flores. That means the flowers. El globo is the balloon. La luz is the light, right? Like one of these things here. Any one of them would be la luz. But plural, it's las luces, the lights. Okay, I just really want you to notice that spelling difference. It goes from a Z to a C when we pluralize it. Okay, this is el papel picado, which literally means the cut paper. Okay, but it refers specifically to these little hanging flag style decorations. Okay, you'll see them all the time in various Latin American countries. El pastel means the cake. That should be reviewed for you. Okay, here we have a word that has made its way into English, so you probably know this one already, but this word means the piñata. Okay, even in English we use the ñ, unbelievably. We call it the piñata in English. We managed to get that one right. So they're these papier-mâché creations that you usually fill with candy, and they're broken open at an event. Okay, here we have el regalo. This means the gift or the present. All right, our last ones are easy. They're just colors. Some of you may know these from other classes. I'm going to use black on top of the color, except for one. You'll see which one. Okay, anaranjado, of course, means orange. Orange. And here's what I'd like you to do. As we go over the colors, please take out your highlighter and just highlight your favorite color. Pick one that's your favorite and highlight it for me. So this one, anaranjado, is orange. Amarillo. Oops, I didn't mean to use the highlighter. I meant to use the pen. This means yellow. Azul means blue. Morado means purple. Notice that on morado, it can change gender. So if we're talking about something masculine, we say morado. If we're talking about something feminine, we say morada. Rojo means red, and it's like morado. It can change gender. Here's what rosado, again, gender matters here. All right, rosado means pink. Verde means green. Okay, so this is brown, but I want to teach you 3 words that can mean brown. The first one is one you know, it means café. That's also the word that means coffee, or like a coffee shop, a cafe. So that can mean brown. Oftentimes in the Caribbean, they'll use the word pardo. Pardo, that's common there. And then another word is marrón. Marrón. All 3 words mean brown, and all 3 are reasonably well understood around the world, but there are 3 different words you might hear when you hear somebody talking about the color brown. Gris means gray. Well, as I promised, there would be one that I couldn't write the name for in black, and that's this one, because negro means black. Negro means black. And the opposite, blanco, means white. White. All right, make sure you've highlighted your favorite color, and then go ahead and hand in your completed vocab sheet. All right, so do that, and that will get you points. Make sure you've highlighted your favorite color, and you hand it in all the way completed. Okay, pues gracias por escucharme, y hasta martes. Nos vemos.